The Building Block School for the Arts Vintage Radio Today players will present Vintage Radio Today on the last Sunday of each month at 7 p.m. Central Time on the Building Block YouTube channel. Tonight's episode of the Vintage Radio Today is The Shadow, The Case of the River of Eternal Woe by Bob Shaw.
What evil lurks in the hearts of men. The Shadow knows.
Roll Call presents The Shadow, a man of mystery who strikes terror in the very souls of sharpsters, lawbreakers, and criminals.
This morning, Lamont Cranston and his friend Margot Lane are at the edge of a curious, excited crowd gathered near the Pier 78 at the riverfront. Now, amidst the noise of police cars, reporters, and ambulances, Margot says,
Lamont, I wouldn't for the world sound calloused, but just what is this all about?
Look, Margot, I think they're bringing up the body. Oh, what did you say?
I said, darling, it's perfectly all right to be dragged out of a sound sleep at the crack of dawn this way. And I love watching policemen take bodies out of the river.
You do?
Only it'd be a lot more fun if I knew what this was all about. After all, Lamont, they found people in this river before.
I know, darling, but they haven't found Matilda Redfield before. And unless I missed the tip, that's the old girl now.
Easy there, man. Take it easy now.
Redfield? Redfield! Oh!
Always right. She's the one who disappeared 3 days ago. The papers have been full of it. Say, she's beautiful, isn't she?
Oh, Lamont, don't be sordid.
Silly. I mean the niece. At least, I think that's the niece. The one going over toward Commissioner Weston.
Oh, yes. I remember her picture in the paper.
Oh, Miss Redfield, if you'll, Lamont Cranston.
Good morning, Commissioner. Fishing this morning?
I might have known you'd show up. Good morning, Miss Lane.
Top of the morning to you, Commissioner.
Well, Cranston, if you've come for any excitement, you're too late. We've just brought the body up.
Matilda Redfield?
Yeah, the old dame who disappeared from that hotel up the river.
Anything interesting, Commissioner?
Nah, not a mark on it I can see.
Suicide?
Looks that way. I'll have the medical examiner go over her downtown. Oh, Miss Redfield.
Commissioner,
I'm sorry you had to see this, Miss Redfield. It is your aunt, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh, this is Miss Lane, Miss Redfield, and Mr. Cranston.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Commissioner Weston, this is horrible. It's horrible.
Now, Miss Redfield, at least now you know. You positively identified the body, do you?
It's Aunt Matilda, all right. But...
Well, then I think what you'd better do is get some rest, Miss Redfield. If you come down to headquarters, say about noon, we'll take care of the paperwork down there.
Paperwork?
The Commissioner means it's only a routine matter, Miss Redfield. Your aunt will have to be taken from here to the city examiner's office.
Yeah, excuse me, I'll see what the men are doing. Sorry, Cranston, looks like you got out of bed for nothing.
I don't understand. The shock. It's all so horrible.
Oh, of course, Miss Redfield, we understand.
We have my car, Miss Redfield. Could Miss Lane and I drive you someplace?
But
It would be better, my dear. There's nothing you can do here at all now.
But you don't understand. The commissioner, those police, why'd they think Matilda committed suicide?
And you don't, Miss Redfield?
Oh, no. She couldn't have done that.
Tell me, Miss Redfield, did your aunt wear expensive jewelry? A bracelet, perhaps?
How did you know that?
I watched you identify the body, my dear, and the first thing you did was roll back the torn sleeve and look at your aunt's wrist.
But...
A rather curious way to identify a body, don't you think? Come along, Miss Redfield. I really think we ought to drive you home. Now, go on, Muriel. Miss Lane and I have all the time in the world.
It's just the way I said, Mr. Cranston. Matilda lived alone at the Hotel Akron. It's just outside the city, on the river.
She was wealthy then?
What?
Miss Lane means the hotel is exclusive, Muriel. You have to be fairly well off to afford it.
Yes, it's that kind of place. Mostly women who live there year-round. They all have money, I guess. My aunt had a great deal.
And a diamond bracelet.
But that's what makes me sure Sure, the police are wrong, Mr. Cranston. She always wore that bracelet. It was worth nearly $200,000.
Whew!
She had it made about 10 years ago. She took the stones from the earrings and from necklaces, all sorts of gems. It was the most beautiful bracelet I've ever seen.
And now it's gone.
It wasn't on her wrist. It couldn't have fallen off. Mr. Cranston, it locked on.
You're sure it's not in her room, Muriel? At the Hotel Akron, I mean.
But it wouldn't be. Oh, well, I looked, of course. When they told me she'd disappeared, the hotel manager, Mr. Hines, and I, we searched her room thoroughly. It's just not there.
You live at the hotel too, Muriel?
No, I don't. I have an apartment in town.
I see. You didn't happen to be with your aunt the day she disappeared?
No, I wasn't. I hadn't seen her in some time. I'd been quite busy, you see. I have a friend in the army going overseas soon, and well, I just haven't seen Aunt Matilda in several weeks.
Well, Lamont?
Bracelets interest me, Margot. I feel like a little deluxe living.
What?
Akron. Akron, that's a strange name for a hotel.
Strange, Mr. Cranston? Why?
Oh, nothing really. It's a mythological term, I believe. Ancient Greek or something like that. It means the god of the river of eternal woe.
We'll be right back after these words from our sponsor. There's so many things planned at the Building Block School for the Arts this summer. First comes Odd Squad Summer Theater Camp for ages 6 to 12 years from Monday, June 4th till Friday, June 8th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It'll be a fun detective discovery of learning in theater and saving the day. Then there's Summer Camp Aladdin, ages 6 to 12 years from June 5th to the 26th. That's the whole month of June, from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. Learn all the aspects of theater and put on the show Aladdin at the end of the camp month. An improv camp from June 18th, June 20th to June 22nd, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for ages 10 to 15, and Songwriter Camp for ages 12 to 18 years, July 16th to the 20th. Check out our website at www.buildingblockarts.com or call the hotline at 931-442-5007 for more info. The Building Block School for the Arts at 700 Woodland Street, 1 block north of the square, building character on a strong foundation. And now back to our show.
This is the porch, Mr. Cranston. Aunt Matilda spent so much time out here in the nice weather. She loved to play bridge with the other ladies.
Miss Redfield?
Oh, Mr. Hines.
I heard the news, my dear. They found your dear aunt's body. It was on the radio about an hour and a half ago.
Yes, they found her. She was almost all the way down.
Now, we just won't talk about it. Though I can't understand how a body could float all the way from here down to the piers. Why, it must be 10 miles.
If the body did float down, Mr. Hines.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, Mr. Hines, this is Mr. Cranston. Mr. Lant, Mr. Cranston. Mr. Hines is the hotel manager.
How do you do?
Not Mr. Cranston.
And this is Miss Lane, Mr. Hines.
How do you do?
Oh, Muriel! Oh, Muriel, my child.
Mrs. Haverson.
I just heard, my dear. The noon editions are out. See? I was just reading about it here in the paper. Oh, my poor dear, my poor dear.
These are some friends of mine, Mrs. Haverson, Miss Lane, and Mr. Cranston.
Mrs. Haverson, how do you do?
My aunt and Mrs. Haverson, they've lived here for years, you see.
Oh?
Oh, This terrible, terrible tragedy. Why would Matilda want to take her own life? Why? I just can't get over it. Why, the day she did it, we had our afternoon bridge, the same as always. How she loved to play cards. Oh, why'd she do such a thing like this?
Well, perhaps she didn't, Mrs. Haverson. The police report isn't ready yet, you know. Perhaps it wasn't suicide at all.
What?
We don't know, you see. We
just don't know, do we, Muriel?
Mr. Hines! Telephone, sir!
What? No, oh, thank you, Warner. I'll take it over here.
I'm sorry about your aunt, Miss Redfield. She was always very nice to me.
Thank you, Warner. Reed is the desk clerk, Mr. Cranston.
Yes, sir.
I see.
Oh, we wouldn't know what to do without Warner, would we, my boy?
I hope not, Miss Haverson.
Miss Redfield?
Yes, Mr. Hines.
Why, that was the police. Some man named Weston, Commissioner Weston.
Oh, yes. What did he want?
He said for Miss Redfield to stay right here. He was on his way out here. He sounded excited. Miss Redfield, he said he'd be right away.
All right, Lamont, you and Miss Lane might as well hear this. Oh, is that door closed?
It's all right, Commissioner. The guests are all out on the porch.
All right, young man. Suppose you tell us what you told me this morning.
Muriel, dear,
Dan, don't. You don't have to talk, Dan. Don't say a word.
But I want to talk, darling. I have nothing to hide.
Oh, no. All right, then. Suppose I tell it. And get this, Cranston, it's good.
I'm listening, Commissioner.
So am I.
We get the body downtown, see? And what do you think we find? A letter. All as nice as you please. Even has this soldier's return address on it, so we can just hop over to his camp in Long Island and pick him up.
Dan, no.
It's all right, Muriel. I admit I wrote her the letter. I told you about it the same night.
What letter, soldier? What did you say?
I've got it, Cranston. Here it is. From Private Dan Burke to Matilda Redfield, addressed right here to the hotel. Yeah, and delivered the same day the old lady disappeared, too.
Go on, Commissioner. Read it.
It's short enough. Here, listen to this. You've made trouble enough for Muriel. Now that we're married, I warn you, leave us alone. If you make trouble now, I promise you I won't be responsible for what happens. Signed, Dan Burke.
Married?
Sure, we're married. Muriel's aunt didn't approve of me. That's why I wrote her the letter. She was threatening to break up our marriage.
Muriel, my dear.
Yes.
This is the friend you mentioned so casually? Your own husband?
Oh, please. I know I should have told you. I know.
And that ain't all, Cranston. Not only does this soldier here admit writing the letter, he can't explain where he was the night the old lady disappeared. He was out on a 10-day pass, just got back to his camp yesterday.
Is that true, Dan?
Dan, don't. He was with me. Oh, I swear it, he was with me the whole day and whole night.
Muriel.
Excuse me, there's a telephone message for you.
Go on, Mr. Hines.
Why, that soldier, that's the man I threw off the property.
What?
When was this?
Mr. Hines, no.
Why, I caught him prowling around the yard last night. The night Matilda Redfield disappeared. Yes, sir. The very night she disappeared.
Did you find anything, Margot?
Not a thing, Lamont. Just Matilda's clothes, things like that.
Well, she had a pleasant room anyway. There's a view of the river from this window.
Akron, the river of eternal woe. Lamont?
Yes?
You don't think Dan Burke killed her, do you?
Oh, Weston had reason enough to hold him, Margot. The boy obviously threatened Matilda with that letter.
And certainly Muriel was covering up for him. He wasn't with her that night at all.
And she covered up their marriage, or tried to.
But you don't think he killed the old lady?
Why,
That's funny.
The manager knows we're up here, Margot. I told him I'd like to search the room. Hello?
Mr. Cranston?
Yes? Muriel, what is it?
I'm in the lobby, Mr. Cranston. Will you come right down, please?
Why, yes. What is it?
My aunt was murdered, Mr. Cranston. I'm sure of it now.
Muriel, listen.
You see,
Muriel! Miss Redfield!
Lamont, what's happened?
Come on, Margot. We've got to get down to that lobby, and fast.
We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsor. The Follies is back at the Building Block School for the Arts. The Murray County Chorale is celebrating a tribute to Cole Porter Follies style on Saturday, April 14th at 7 p.m. Admission is only $5 for a fun-filled, entertaining evening of solos, duets, trios, ensembles, and chorale songs. Come on down to the Building Block located at 700 Woodland, just 1 block north of the square, and share a wonderful tribute to Cole Porter. The Murray County Chorale is bringing the Follies back on April 14th at 7 p.m. The Building Block School for the Arts and Cities Restaurant is hosting the Singers Empowerment Spectacular, not just a talent show. This event will be organized like The Voice, and every contestant will also get a vocal coaching group session after every round. Auditions are for all ages on Sunday, April 15th from 3 to 7 p.m. at the Building Block at 700 Woodland Street, just 1 block north of the square. Semifinals and finals will be held at Cities Restaurant on 6th Street. Go to www.buildingblockarts.com for info on all the rounds, registration, and categories, or call the hotline at 931-442-5007. The Building Block School for the Arts, building character on a strong foundation. And now, back to our show.
Why, no, Mr. Cranston. I didn't notice anything unusual. Miss Redfield made a call from the booth just now, and then she walked out toward the porch, I think.
But she didn't, I tell you. She...
Something the matter, Mr. Cranston?
It's Miss Redfield, Mr. Hines. Mr. Cranston seems to think she's disappeared.
What?
No, never mind. Perhaps I was mistaken.
Where is she, Warner? She didn't go down to headquarters with her husband, I know.
No, sir. She stayed here. She just made a phone call, and when she was through, she walked out on the porch.
She probably wants to be alone, Mr. Cranston. You know how women feel at a time like this.
Yes, I'm sure that's it.
Oh, Mr. Hines, Mr. Hines. Oh, Mr. Cranston and Miss Lane. Do excuse me. You know I can't see a thing without my glasses. Oh, here they are. Oh, you're still here, I see.
We thought we ought to be near Miss Redfield, Mrs. Haverson. She's so upset.
Of course. Poor child. Of course. I do want to talk to her later on. At a time like this, I wouldn't dream of bringing it all up, but my poor dear Matilda had that lovely bracelet. I was wondering if Muriel would think of selling it.
You admired the bracelet, Mrs. Haverson?
Matilda's? Oh, my. We all did. I declare I've never seen such stones. Never.
Out of my way, please. Lamont.
Well, Commissioner Weston.
Cranston, that soldier, he got away.
What? Got away, Commissioner? How do you mean?
Why, he's an MP. You know, a military police. On the way down to the station, he pulled his gun on my men in the car and simply escaped.
I knew it. I knew he was a killer.
If I were you, Commissioner, I'd keep this quiet.
What?
When you arrest an MP commissioner, you really ought to take away his gun.
I'm delighted that you stayed for dinner, Miss Lane, Mr. Cranston. Even at a time like this, the inner man must be fed, you know.
And it's delicious, Mr. Hines. It was kind of you to invite us.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. Oh, will you excuse me? I see Warner motioning at the desk.
Of course, Mr. Hines.
Enjoy yourselves. I won't be a moment. Did you get a nice piece of land, Miss Haverson?
Lamont?
I know, Margot.
But Muriel, Lamont, where is she?
I don't know, Margot, but I've got an idea where she's going to be.
What?
When we sat down to dinner, I found a note under my plate.
A note?
Shh. It tells me to get out of here if I don't want something to happen to Muriel.
Oh, Lamont, no!
Whoever wrote it was exact enough, Margot. It says if we're not gone in an hour, Muriel will be dead.
An hour?
Yes, and by that time, it will be quite dark. Feel like any dessert?
Oh, no.
Good. I'd like to have a look at this river. If Matilda met her death in it, it seems Muriel might end up there too.
Lamont, it's so dark. I can't see a thing.
It's all right, Margot. Keep going. The boathouse is just ahead.
Yes, but...
Lamont!
Here now!
Margot, are you all right?
Land's sake, screaming that way. Who are you, anyhow?
I'm all right, Lamont. I just bumped into this man in the dark.
Come now, who are you? What are you doing down here so close to the river?
If you'll take that light out of our eyes, my friend, we'll tell you.
Well, fess up now.
I'm
the watchman, that's who I am, and I don't remember you two as none of the guests.
The watchman?
Murders, police, everybody all on edge. Give me a start, young lady. Now, come along, both of you. We'll go up to the hotel and... Good land! Now what?
Margot, come on. That's the police whistle.
Those shots, Lamont, they came from up near the hotel.
I know. Hurry, Margot.
No, wait for me. I'm the watchman here. Well, wait for me.
All right, Burke. This time I've got you. Now just stay right where you are.
Listen.
Not a word out of you, soldier. You got away from us once. This time you're done for. Stand back, Mr. Hines.
I didn't mean to shoot, Commissioner. I saw someone in the bushes. When I called out and he ran, I shot. That's all.
Well, it's all right. You just got him in the leg. Yes, and no more of what's coming to you, Burke.
Weston, Commissioner, what's happened?
Well, Cranston, it looks like the show's over. Mr. Hines here found our runaway soldier boy.
What?
He was in those bushes, Mr. Cranston. He wouldn't stop. I fired at him.
Look, I swear, I didn't do anything wrong. I came back to find my wife. You've got to tell me where she is.
Nothing wrong. Listen, soldier, you broke away from police custody at the point of a gun. You were caught prowling around here tonight. And what's more, young man, I'm booking you for the murder of Matilda Redfield. Now, come on. We're taking you downtown.
But Lamont...
It's all right, Margot. It looks to me like Commissioner Weston has solved the case.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, Cranston. For once you admit it.
Definitely, Commissioner. In fact, Margot and I will jump in my car and meet you downtown. We'd like to be there when the boy confesses.
But Lamont...
Come along, Margot. It looks like Commissioner Weston has done it again.
We'll be right back after these words from our sponsor. The Building Block School for the Arts is holding its second annual Art Walk on Saturday, April 21st from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. around the square in downtown Columbia, and Riverwalk Park will have a chalk art festival with entries from the Murray County Public Schools. The Art Walk will be held at several buildings around the square, such as Puckett, Southern Tray, and Columbia Health Foods. Join us as we celebrate our local artists around the square and stop by Variety Records to celebrate Record Store Day. We hope to see you at our second annual Art Walk Saturday, April 21st from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. The Building Block School for the Arts is also holding auditions for A Night at the Opry on Sunday, April 29th from 3 to 7 p.m. A Night at the Opry, a tribute to the classic country stars of the Grand Ole Opry, has its next show on June 8th and 9th. Come on down and audition to be part of this incredible tribute to the stars of the Opry. Bring your instrumentals from up to 3 different artists and audition for our group. The Building Block School for the Arts hotline is 931-442-5007 or go to www.buildingblockarts.com. We now return to our show.
Cranston, what in the world are you thinking of? We can't go down to headquarters. What about Muriel?
In other words, Margot, you hardly think the soldier was holding his own wife?
Well, certainly.
Exactly. And we're not going down to headquarters. Matter of fact, this is just about where I get out.
Here? At the river?
Look, Margot, see that dam up ahead?
Why, yes.
A body can't float over that dam, Margot. If someone were murdered, for instance, back here on this side, say at the boathouse back at the hotel.
Yes?
The body couldn't float all the way down the river into town, right?
Lamont, of course. Then Mrs. Redfield was killed on the other side of the dam.
Well, not necessarily, Margot. She might have been lifted over the dam, you know.
What?
If someone were going to murder Muriel the same way, in 8 minutes, according to their warning...
Yes?
They could do it at the hotel, couldn't they? Murder her there, then put the body in a boat, row down to the dam, and lift it over. Then she'd float right down to town, just like Aunt Matilda.
Lamont, how horrible. You've got to do something.
And in 8 minutes, too. Only this time, Margot, I think we'll let our old friend the Shadow handle things.
Yes, but...
Now, look, you go to a phone down the road at the filling station and call Commissioner Weston's office. Understand?
Yes, Lamont, go on.
Tell them that the commissioner must be on that dam in, 15 minutes. Make that plain, Margot. They'll intercept him by radio on his way down to headquarters with Dan Burke.
On the dam in 15 minutes.
Right. And then hang up. Don't tell them who you are. I'll meet you back at this spot. Oh, and see if you can find a towel, will you?
A towel? What for?
I have an idea, Margot. That the Shadow might go in for a swim.
Who's there?
Oh, why, Fred?
Miss Harrison? Oh, you gave me quite a scare.
It's such a lovely night. I was walking by the river.
Yes, ma'am. Just a little jitter, I guess, Miss Redfield, and all the poor Matilda. We'll miss her so. I'm just all jitter. Miss Harrison, why just now? Because you came along. I was making my rounds here and the boathouse pier, and I could have sworn I heard footsteps behind me.
Oh, what?
Just nerves, I guess. Enjoy your walk, Miss Harrison.
Oh, thank you, Fred. I will. Now. All right, Muriel, come out. Oh, did I forget to take off that nasty old handkerchief out of your mouth, my dear? What a pity. Well, no matter. I'll do the talking. My child. Now, come on. And this is a gun, Muriel. I warn you. I know how to use it. Step out here, Muriel. Out here to the edge of the pier. That's right. Now, don't you move. You hear me? Now we'll see if everything's ready. Warner, are you down there?
In the boat, come on.
Bring it around to one side, Warner. I'll get her ready.
Hurry up. That watchman will be coming back any minute.
You heard Mr. Reed, Muriel. Get into the boat. Get in.
Oh, careful, it's leaning to one side.
Get going, Warner. She is in.
It's leaning to one side, I tell you. Move over. No, not that side, the other.
We're not on that side, Warner. For pity's sake, get going.
Is she gagged?
Yes. Poor darling. Isn't that a shame? And her little eyes look so frightened, too. Don't be frightened, Muriel. This is just a lovely little boat ride. You're a very clever girl, Muriel. A little too clever, I'm afraid. Hurry, Warner.
I am. This boat is heavy. Don't forget.
Isn't this pleasant, Muriel? Your poor dear aunt thought so too. A lovely ride, really. And when we get to the dam, why then, my dear, we'll ask you to go on the rest of the way alone. Oh, dear Warner, do you suppose Muriel will struggle too?
Oh, shut up.
Oh, it was really touching, my dear. Poor Matilda struggled so when we held her under the water. And it was so unnecessary, really, if she hadn't been so difficult about her lovely bracelet. Why, do you No, she actually confided to Warner that I was cheating her at cards.
This boat weighs a ton.
And all we wanted was that lovely bracelet, too. I suggested she sell it, you see, but after all, she did owe me a great deal of money from our little bridge games. Poor Matilda was so unlucky.
Unlucky? With those trick glasses you wear?
Well, perhaps I did cheat a little, Warner, but only to get that lovely bracelet. And she was thinking of selling it, wasn't she, Warner? Isn't that too bad? To think she suddenly suspected me of cheating.
Quiet! I can see the dam.
Poor Muriel. I'm afraid, my dear, the time is drawing near.
On the contrary, Miss Haverson, the time has come.
What is that? Reed!
You can stop rowing, Warner Reed, and I'll take that gun, Mrs. Haverson.
Oh, Reed! Reed, get the gun! It flew right out of my hands. There's somebody in this boat.
You're right, Warner Reed. There is someone in this boat. The Shadow.
The Shadow?
The Shadow knows, Mrs. Haverson. Muriel. Take the gun, Muriel. It's lying there at your feet. Now, if you point it at Mrs. Haverson, I'm sure she'll undo your gag. Undo it.
Yes, I will.
You murderers!
Cover them, Muriel. Keep them both covered.
Yes, I have.
And now, Warner, you may start rowing again.
Rowing?
To the dam, Warner. I think the police commissioner is waiting for you.
Warner!
No!
That's right, Muriel. Oh, one more thing. You have the bracelet, Mrs. Haverson?
It's in her purse, Shadow. I saw it there when she dropped it in this noon, in the lobby. I tried to tell Mr. Cranston, but I was cut off, and then they just...
The Shadow knows, Muriel. Just give the bracelet to the commissioner on the dam. That will complete the story. And now, goodbye.
Shadow, wait! Please, wait!
It's too late, Warner Reed. Goodbye.
He jumped into the river. I heard the splash, but I couldn't see a thing.
No man sees the shadow, Mrs. Haverson, but the shadow knows. See the lights on the dam, Margot? Muriel must be turning them over to Weston.
Are you dressed, Lamont?
What? Oh, you can turn around now. And thanks for the dry clothes.
Think nothing of it, Lamont. All my boyfriends go for moonlight dips now and then.
They do?
Lamont.
Yes?
You knew it was Mrs. Haverson all along, didn't you?
It wasn't very difficult, Margot. She said she couldn't see a thing without her glasses. And yet she was reading a newspaper without them when we met her this morning.
Say, that's right.
Then, when I got a look at those glasses, I was sure. They're tricks, Margot. If you look closely, you can see a special lens in the bottom of the glass.
What?
They're used for reading the backs of marked cards. Invisible markings show up when you look at the cards through those glasses. I've seen dozens of them.
Then she was a card cheat.
Only to lure out bigger game, Margot. She'd get Matilda's bridge debt up high enough, you see, and then suggest she sell the bracelet. Haverson would suggest that she handle the sale, and of course, once she got her hands on the bracelet, she'd disappear.
Dry your hair, Lamont.
Her accomplice had me fooled, though. I knew she'd need someone to help her out if she got Matilda's body over the dam.
And it was Warner Reed, the desk clerk.
I knew it must have been when Muriel's phone call was cut off. He was the only one behind the desk at the switchboard. That's how he overheard her call.
Lamont, of course. And Dan Burke was innocent of the whole thing.
And Muriel was covering up for him. I suppose the poor girl wasn't entirely sure he didn't kill her aunt.
The night he came to the hotel?
Yes, only she was dead by that time. Poor Matilda. Her mistake was confiding in Warner. As soon as she told him she suspected Mrs. Haverson of cheating, she signed her own death warrant.
River of eternal woe.
Cold?
Well,
what?
I could stand an arm around me, Lamont. A big, strong arm.
Will mine do?
Oh, yes, Lamont. Yes, it will.
Tonight's story of The Shadow was titled The Case of the River of Eternal Woe by Bob Shaw. Featured in the cast were Jay Powell, Kristen James, Sherry Johnson, Lee Moore, Brad Oxnam, Wesley Marshall, Susan Manning, and I'm your announcer, Dan Janes. Thank you for listening to Vintage Radio Today Players. We wish to thank Ross James for his technical assistance. The Building Block School for the Arts hotline is 931-442-5007. That number again, 931-442-5007. Or contact them at buildingblockarts@gmail.com. That once again, buildingblockarts@gmail.com. They're located at 700 Woodland Avenue in Columbia. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. Tune in again next month for another live Vintage Radio Today.